There now appears to be a high likelihood of tropical development in the Caribbean by early next week. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back at Meteo Mundo. Great to see you on a Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we've had some very active areas of weather across portions of our area on this Tuesday. We're going to highlight that. We'll take a look at your island by island rainfall forecast as we get closer to the weekend. And then we're going to deep dive into the tropics. There now appears to be a very high likelihood of tropical development in the Caribbean by early next week. I'll have all the newest model information for you. We'll take a look about how that could potentially be developing as we move into next week. You know, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments section below where you're from, what the weather has been like. If you just want to drop a hi, I certainly appreciate it. And we'll get started. First area we want to talk about is what's going on in the Northwest Bahamas. Mentioned it in yesterday's video. This is going to be a very active day in the Bahamas, and it did not wait until the afternoon. These storms got going very early on this Tuesday morning. We have had numerous severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of the Northwest Bahamas. Let me bring on the radar data for you here live at Meteo Mundo. You can see the live lightning count as well. The most concentrated storms were mid to late morning into the early afternoon. Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, Bimini, Andros, New Providence, Eleuthera, even back down towards Cat Island, Exuma, Rum Key, San Salvador, even Long Island areas, Crooked Island, all with some thunderstorm activity. It's been more concentrated from Eleuthera, New Providence, and Andros north. Heavy rain. Localized flash flooding, gusty winds from time to time, and a ton of lightning. Just a very active day across this area for us here. And guess what, guys? It's not going anywhere. We're going to have more storms again developing tomorrow. And again, some of that is not going to wait until the afternoon hours. The activity has really faded a bit here as we've gone into the latter half of the afternoon. But a very active day for our friends in the Northwest Bahamas. I mentioned in yesterday's video as well that, you know, we'll have some storms in the central side of the Bahamas. You can see that right now back towards Rum Key and, as I mentioned, Long Island and Exuma areas, San Salvador. But you get as far south as the Acklins and then into the Turks and the Caicos. It's been a relatively quiet day. So the moisture, the instability is certainly concentrated the farther north that you go in the islands. Now, Cuba, again, active weather, thunderstorms developing at the hour across the island. Haven't seen any huge wind gusts as of yet, but once again, a high likelihood that some of those storms will produce some gusty winds across the island into the latter half of this Tuesday afternoon. It's been a relatively quiet day across Jamaica. Once again, we're just seeing a few isolated showers and a rumble of thunder here and there in the far western side of the island. Westmoreland, Hanover parishes with the best chance for some rain. Montego Bay, Lucy, Negril, Savalomar, those are the best opportunities. Hopefully, if nothing else, maybe a little bit of cloud coverage to at least block some of that direct sun. But the big story has obviously been the heat. Again, these are going to be your feels like temperatures coming up here in just 1 second as soon as I click them on. And we've hit plus 110 here in Kingston. That's, again, feels like temperatures. It's not your actual air temperature, but that is 43 degrees Celsius. Now, this is an area that will start to see better rain chances coming up, but it's going to be a few more days before that happens. That's the same situation for my friends in the Cayman Islands as well. We've had a beautiful but very hot, quiet day. It's about the same situation for the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Most of the greater Antilles just haven't really been able to buy a few showers and storms on this Tuesday. Once again, feels like numbers have been well above 100 Fahrenheit. And again, this is the heat index, what it really feels like on the body. We're looking at around 41 to 43 degrees Celsius in most spots, and it's been a dry day. Same situation for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico as well. Again, a little bit of cloud coverage here or there. I'm going to throw on the visible satellite imagery. You can see some of that. Could there be a brief shower developing with the easterly trades? Absolutely. Is it going to be a wet day? Not for the most part. There's better rain chances coming, but quiet, hot day. We've had excessive heat warnings here. We've had excessive heat warnings over portions of the Leeward Islands as well. And again, these are your feels like numbers. So it felt like it was 105 when you stepped outside this afternoon in St. Bart's. That's just kind of an indication of how hot it's been. Sure, a spotty shower or two possible over these islands, but there just hasn't been much for today. Antigua, Barbuda, Saba, Statia, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, all relatively quiet. on this Tuesday afternoon. Dominica has been blazing hot again for today. Feels like temperature southern side of the island up to 111. Now we get into a little bit more interesting weather. Martinique south, but especially St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Barbados. This is a shear line of rich tropical moisture. It's very elongated from east to west, and it's been sitting over the same areas all day long. But we've had some decent rain for portions of St. Lucia. We've had more flood watches today over Barbados, and it's been raining pretty good over St. Vincent and portions of the Grenadines, Bequia, Cancun, Carriacou, all with, some passing showers here and there, extra cloud coverage to go along with it. Then you get down towards Grenada, and they're just starting to see at least the opportunity for a passing shower. But notice their feels like number has been excruciatingly hot. Again, it's been such elongated east to west rather than expanding north to south. It's a very narrow corridor of the Lesser Antilles that have actually had the heavier rain for today, but places in Barbados have had up to 75 millimeters on this Tuesday, up to 3 inches of rain. So isolated, but very heavy, very concentrated in some spots. And we're trying to get a couple more showers to develop here on the far western sides of Trinidad as we speak. You can see the blow up of storms here right over Port of Spain and then moving off towards the west. So the eastern side of Trinidad stayed dry with some storms developing on the far western side. My friends in Trinidad and Tobago, let me know what you've been doing. And some of these storms are trying to march into Nueva Esparta at the hour as well, coming off the mainland. If those continue to rotate in, we could see some heavy rain and some storms for Nueva Esparta. Our friends in the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, we've had a few storms in Bonaire for today. Notice their temperature dropped down a little bit. So a little bit earlier, late morning, early afternoon, few rumbles of thunder, Bonaire just east of Curacao with Aruba staying dry. The rest of the area, we'll get into the Central America forecast for you here. Still going heavy. Panama City, towards Costa Rica, certainly Nicaragua, portions of Honduras. Look, this is too far, but I want to broaden this out because this broad spin, and we mentioned it earlier in the hurricane season, this Central American gyre, it's going to play a big part in trying to spin up some tropical development in the Western Caribbean here over the next 5 to 7 days. Right now, it's bringing more concentrated showers and storms from Honduras off towards the south, but it's going to be a player in what we're going to be talking about tropically for the next week ahead. Thunderstorms are trying to lift up towards the Roatan, San Pedro Sula, La Chiva areas here and portions of Honduras. We've had storms developing in inland sides of Belize, so missing places like San Pedro, Belize City, and Dangriga, but headed on over towards San Ignacio with some passing showers and a few rumbles of thunder. And we're seeing a few storms developing across Quintana Roo and the Yucatan here. Again, inland from Cancun and Cozumel. Some of these will try and make the Merida area here a little bit later in the afternoon hours. Bermuda, getting a couple of thunderstorms at the hour as well, just kind of right around the island, but you can see a nice healthy cluster of storms here, and they've been able to catch a little bit more rain lately in Bermuda, just a little bit more active weather coming off of the east coast of the United States. And then also just to mention real quickly here, you see this area in orange. This is actually the remnants of Gordon. Remember, Gordon was a tropical storm, then it weakened to a tropical depression. Well, now it's back down to just a remnant tropical low. So we do not have even a tropical depression right now. It's a broad circulation. There's a lot of dry air on the northern side. But the Hurricane Center has put this orange area on because they do think it could redevelop back into a depression or a storm in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 days. But once again, it's a fish storm. It's well in the open waters of the central Atlantic, so it doesn't really matter what Gordon does. It's not going to bother anyone. That's what's happening right now. We'll get into your forecast in just a second. As we do so, again, really appreciate you guys taking just a brief second and clicking that thumbs up button for me right now, the like button. If you're not a subscriber to Meteo Mundo and you want these daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you've found your home. Thank you for joining what is a fantastic weather community here at Meteo Mundo. Click that subscribe button for me right now. Share this with your family and friends, anyone who thinks can get something out of it. And again, appreciate the support through all the different ways that you can find. So now we're going to get into the rain over the next 3 days. We're going to talk about what's happening in the short term. We're going to go island by island with your daily rainfall forecast, and then we're going to deep dive into the tropics. So let me switch on over here to our NAM model and just set that up for the next couple of days. Give me just 1 second. I was looking at a lot of different things behind the scenes before I recorded this because there's going to be a lot to talk about in the longer term when we're dealing with the potential for some tropical development. It's that time of the year, guys. It's that time of the year where these things can go fairly quickly now, and we're starting to see more signs of that for the weekend and into the next week. In general, over the next 3 days, and I'm talking about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to only get passing showers in the Lesser Antilles, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. There will be some pockets of heavy rain. There will be some areas that get some good thunderstorm activity, but it's going to be few and far between. Rain chances overall running around 30 to 40%. Again, still favoring back down towards Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada areas, maybe St. Lucia North, maybe Martinique for a little bit more better opportunity, especially tomorrow with that shear axis. And then as we get into Friday, I think we'll try and get a little bit better rain chance back up towards Guadeloupe, Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Eustatius, Saba, St. Bart's, St. Martin, and Anguilla on Friday. Right, and you can see that there at the end of the forecast. But still, there's nothing extremely concentrated, all right? We'll just kick off a little bit more in the way of a few showers. We'll look at the island by island rain chance coming up. But in these areas, we've had excessive heat warnings. Many of you have mentioned how hot it's been when it's not raining. It's like Rusty, it's either raining or it's blazing hot. Well, for the majority of this area, it's going to be blazing hot with not a lot of the way in relief of some showers. We'll try and get some better opportunities for rain locally across Puerto Rico. Some of that could slip into the U.S. and British Virgin Islands as well, especially down towards Virgin Gorda area. St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. But again, rain chances the next couple of days aren't looking fantastic. Not a lot of rain expected here for the Dominican Republic and Haiti. We'll see a few isolated showers the next couple of days, potentially slightly better on Friday. We'll see how this plays out. But again, don't expect a lot of showers here. I'm neglecting the western areas right now because I want to talk about that a little bit more. But you notice that the Turks and the Caicos, Southeast Bahamas, will see the same or similar situation to what we've had the last couple of days, where central and especially northwest sides of the Bahamas are just going to have a much better chance for some rain. It's as simple as that. So you get Acklins to the Turks and the Caicos, passing showers at best. Again, for our friends in the Northwest Bahamas, this could be a very wet 3-day forecast. I think I've got at least a 60% chance of rain in and storms each day. Also a reminder, it's not going to wait to the afternoon hours. Let me just show you this here on the NAM model. This is lunchtime tomorrow, and we already have some wet weather. As a matter of fact, let me just back this up to 7 a.m. tomorrow, just to give you that idea. It might take just a second for it to fully loop up. But you can see here, once this finally picks that up, that there will be some showers and storms again for tomorrow morning. You can see that into the afternoon, and then we'll do it again on Thursday, and we could potentially do it again on Friday as well. So for Grand Bahama, the New Providence, Nassau areas, and all of our friends in the Northwest Bahamas, get ready for more rain, more active weather, more thunderstorms here right on through Friday. Cuba's rain chances will remain very high as well. Now, I held off talking about our friends out here. And by the way, the ABC Islands shouldn't expect a lot of rain, unfortunately, over the next 3 days. But this, towards the end of the forecast, will start to play in for the potential tropical development. You can clearly see that on the NAM model, and it's the same for the GFS and the European model, there's a lot more moisture that's going to be developing on the northeast side of this broad Central American gyre. This is the beginnings of the interaction to get that tropical moisture in. There's also going to be a trough digging deep into the Gulf of Mexico, maybe even into the northwest side of the Caribbean, which will cut off and could produce cyclogenesis and help to aid in that development of tropical activity. And if nothing else, we start to get a broad spin in the Western Caribbean starting Friday and into the weekend. But for my friends in Jamaica, it's going to start to get wetter. Again, that probably won't happen until at the latest Friday and into the weekend. But rain chances in this area, Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, the entire island. Doesn't matter. Mandeville, Maypen, Montego Bay. I'll just throw out all my beautiful friends there, all the places that I know. Ocho Rios, Port Antonio. It doesn't matter where you're on the island. Rain chances going up and up and up. All right, it's going to be the same situation for my friends in Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac as well. Still relatively quiet the next few days, but rain chances will start to go higher beginning on Friday and especially into the weekend. And as you would imagine, this is going to include all of the Yucatan and Central America. It's just going to start to get wet here. And then the question is, does that tropical moisture wrap up into a true tropical system? And we'll look at that coming up in just a second. But the first thing we want to do is take it island by island Wednesday through Friday. There's your healthy thunderstorm chances in the Northwest Bahamas, 60% chance each day. Again, some of that in the morning. Central Southeast Bahamas, okay chances, slightly higher on Friday. Turks and Caicos still relatively dry, slightly higher into the weekend as well. Cuba's rain chances stay well in the high category. Cayman Islands, 30 Wednesday, Thursday. Still mainly hot and dry. We're up to a 50 on Friday, could be even higher over the weekend. Belize City's rain chances stay very high and then even higher on Friday. Cancun and Cozumel's begin to ramp up to the 50% chance range for Friday as well. Here we go in Jamaica, just a 20% chance still for tomorrow, still an isolated 30% chance on Thursday, but by Friday, we're up to a 50% chance. Rain chances begin to improve in the Dominican Republic. At least some scattered showers the next few days, much more widespread on Friday. Rain chances begin to improve as well for the British and U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, 30, 40, then 60% for all of those areas by Friday. Bermuda's rain chances stay on the more isolated side. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, decent 30 to 40% chance. Nothing crazy concentrated, but again, late Thursday, early Friday looks to be our best chance. And that's about the same forecast I have until we get a little bit farther off to the south. Antigua, Barbuda, 30 to 40 each day. Same thing for Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, and Martinique. Again, nothing is concentrated. There's no big tropical wave coming in with this huge peak of higher rain chances. We're just going to catch some passing tropical showers here with our easterlies coming in, but again, there'll be many dry hours and locations. Now, with this shear axis that brought the heavier rain from St. Lucia south for today still in play for tomorrow, you get higher rain chances for St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines the next couple of days. Same thing for Barbados and Grenada. Again, some of that could produce heavier rainfall, where we have had some flood watches issued because of that rain, although there are other folks who are just desperate for a drop. That's how it goes this time of the year, friends. Trinidad and Tobago, 40% chance for storms through Friday. Suriname and Guyana around the same position. And then Nueva Esparta and the ABC Islands will just be struggling to catch a brief passing shower. Looking at the rainfall totals on the European model over the next 7 days. Couple of things to note. I'll get myself off camera. If you look on the right-hand side of your screen, we're talking about the Lesser and Greater Antilles. Not a ton of rain overall. Most areas will struggle to get 1+ inch of rain or more than 25 millimeters. Again, there'll be isolated heavier amounts, but they'll be more localized than anything. It's extremely clear to see here. This is the European model, and I haven't even showed you the European Ensemble members for tropically yet. Just all of the moisture that's going to be developing here beginning Sunday, Monday, and then into Tuesday of next week, where we could have some very significant rainfall through portions of Central America and then the Northwest Caribbean. That could include Jamaica, right here, might be just east of the heaviest rain, certainly the Cayman Islands, portions of Cuba, and then spreading either into the Bahamas, or maybe west into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Obviously, South Florida would come into play, including the Florida Keys, for the opportunity for some of that heavier rain as well. When we look at the wave heights, again, we're still gonna have some significant seas coming down off the United States East Coast, but if you look here, right? So this is tomorrow, Thursday, into Friday, things are still quiet. Watch this begin to pick up Saturday, Sunday, and now we start to see something potentially tropically with some high wave heights beginning to develop in the Northwest Caribbean, potentially eking into the Straits of Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, or the Bahamas as we get into mid next week. But there it is right there. So boaters, we've still got some time to monitor this, but that's going to be our next big area. Lesser Antilles look to be pretty good. Again, those are the waves associated with the remnants of Gordon. And then otherwise, again, we might have some decent easterly swells, but nothing outside of watching what might happen here that I'm extremely concerned about for that. This time of the year, guys, it's just baking. I mean, the ocean temperatures are outrageous. These are your current temperatures as of this Tuesday. We are well above 30 degrees Celsius in most areas. We're pinging 31 and 32 degrees Celsius. So we're at least mid 80s Fahrenheit, but there are some spots that are just bath water hitting 90 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas of the Caribbean, of the Western Atlantic, and especially into portions of the Gulf of Mexico as well. So obviously the ocean temperatures are going to support any kind of tropical development. The wind shear in the La Nina has been relatively weak as well. And now we're not talking about trying to get a wave coming off the West African coast, which has really struggled. Now we're talking about homegrown potential development. So now we're going to get into that. So I'm going to bring up the GFS model. And as I do so, it'll take just a second. Again, thank you so much for liking this video if you haven't as of yet. So I'm going to take it out to the 26th. Let me just go out to the afternoon of the 26th, and I'm going to loop this up. Now, a couple things to talk about here. This is the GFS deterministic model, okay? Showing you this model each and every day. Over the last 3 days now, it has been very consistent on potential tropical development in the Western Caribbean and then into either the Gulf of Mexico or the Western Atlantic by mid next week. So we now have 3 days in a row of the GFS deterministic showing that. What I look for when we're talking about something that hasn't even developed yet is model run-to-run consistency, meaning is the GFS model on every single run showing a very similar output, a similar situation for what this might do. Then are there more than one model? Is there more than one model showing a very similar situation? And the European model has been doing that for the same time frame as well. Again, when we're this far out, we focus mainly on our two major global models, the GFS American and the ECMWF European model. As we get closer in time, there are other high resolution models and tropical models that we can begin to latch onto and look at as well. But as I've let this loop up, and you guys have probably seen it behind me. So let's just stair step this. Today is the 17th. So the 18th is your Wednesday, 19th is Thursday, Friday the 20th. Still not much here on the GFS model on Friday. I mentioned for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and Central America and Yucatan, rain chances begin to improve over the weekend. So Saturday the 21st, Sunday the 22nd, things start to just get wet here. Then the question after that is, does all of this tropical moisture consolidate into a low level of circulation, and do we get something to develop? The GFS model says yes, okay? So as we get into early next week, so again, backing it up, the 23rd is next Monday. We can see a consolidation here somewhere near the Cayman Islands Tuesday and into Wednesday. Now, I want to be clear about one thing, first of all, okay? We are not going to look at this and say this is what's going to happen, because things can and will change. You guys know that, right? The biggest thing about this is that the models are very high on development in this area by early next week. But how strong it gets and where it goes is a huge question mark still. We're just beyond the range of the 7-day outlook from the Hurricane Center. As you've noticed, they don't even have anything here as of yet. Okay, but we have this very strong signal for potential development. Now, on the current run of the GFS, this would not be good news for Florida. We would have a storm moving right up the West Coast. But in the last 3 days, okay, Sunday, the storm was here. Yesterday, the storm was here. And today, the storm is here. There is still a lot of play in where this might go, but it does look like a quick north move is expected. So step one would be, do we actually wrap this up in the Caribbean and we have more impacts for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and Cuba, or does it wait to wrap up north of Cuba and it's more? So this is the GFS winds, same model that we were just looking at here, but now we're looking at the wind fields. And just to show you again that we're beginning to see development basically by early next week. So let's pause this and look in. So as we get into Friday, the 20th, we'll just start to see the winds freshen up in the Western Caribbean over the weekend, but nothing very concentrated, okay? Then as we get into late Sunday, close to the Cayman Islands, and again, this is just one model run, the GFS, into Monday and Tuesday. Now we start to see a consolidation of that center, basically over the western tip of Cuba. So On this, Jamaica could potentially miss direct impacts because the development would be farther north, a little bit more potential impacts for portions of the Cayman Islands. And then again, you've got a consolidation and a stronger storm developing over Cuba, trying to move up to the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico. But again, where it develops and where it's going are still going to be the biggest questions, but the signals just appear to be very high for this to happen. You can see that on the GFS ensembles. Again, we were looking at the deterministic. This is now the 51 members of the ensembles, and they're all developing this somewhere in the far northwest Caribbean, and then you still have a large divergence of solutions after that. You still have some trying to pull it east over the Bahamas and into the western Atlantic, and you'll see that again. Here's Friday, still quiet over the weekend. Now we're just starting to see a few blips pop up here on Sunday near Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, then stronger and rapid development, relatively speaking, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with again, some east, some up Florida, some into the central sides of the Gulf of Mexico. But there's a lot more signals on the GFS. And again, this has been 3 days in a row for this consistent kind of development and track, all right? European model, again, next few days, we're still quiet. The European model is a little bit slower in development. You're going to see a few signals Sunday into Monday, and then it's really Tuesday, Wednesday, and the European is slightly farther west compared to the GFS. The far eastern envelope of those ensemble member runs are kind of on the east coast of Florida, but the majority of them have it into the eastern or the central sides of the Gulf of Mexico. But you can see there's a lot of signals on the European model for development, and it's about the same time frame as we have here on the GFS, and certainly near the same areas. This is why we need to pay very, very close attention in the Western Caribbean here as we move into the weekend for what is looking like a very high likelihood of some tropical development in that area and then lifting to the north. There's obviously a lot of play in what happens beyond that, but that's the situation right now, friends. I'm going to be closely monitoring for you. You can monitor us across all social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Again, I'd love to show those pictures and videos here on the YouTube videos, so thank you for sending me that. If you have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. Happy to answer that. Again, while you're down there, thank you for liking and subscribing here to Meteo Mundo. Friends, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll be back tomorrow with all the newest information in your area, and of course, what's happening tropically across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. That's right here at Meteo Mundo.